The Galapagos is hands down one of the most amazing sought-after destinations in the world in terms of, if you want to call it ecotourism, and by eco I'm not necessarily defining like in a greenwashing kind of way. I mean just in terms of this amazing ecosystem that's just bustling with biodiversity. And you know, we all know the Galapagos as where Darwin came up with the origin of the species, but it's really interesting because it's almost like we're watching evolution in action, or at least be able to look at the various stages of evolution, because you have new islands in the archipelago that are still being formed or are growing, and then they're being colonized by various plants, and you can see this in each of the different stages, and it's really fascinating to see what birds, what insects, what marine life, what animal life have made it to what parts of the islands, how they're thriving, how they're not, and it's just one of the most amazing places in the world to visit. Anyone who has ever dreamed of, you know, if you've sat and watched National Geographic or the Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, and truthfully in a lot of places in the world those shows create a massive misconception. You think you're going to show up on safari and you know there's going to be a baboon that's doing backflips off your car and the lion is going to be killing the buffalo 50 feet from your car. It can happen in some places. I can take you to those places. But in general, it doesn't. And you get this, but you have this built-up expectation. The Galapagos is one of those places where it delivers. You're going to be out there, you're going to be snorkeling with penguins, you're going to be snorkeling with sea lions, and as you're sitting there trying to bob along on the ocean and you're staring into the eyes of a sea lion pup that's a meter or 3 feet away from you, and you're starting to wonder who's watching who, you know, you just kind of forget about time and place, and you think all those maybe even childhood dreams that you always wanted have suddenly come true right in front of you. So that's why, or that's who the Galapagos is for. The Galapagos, if I had to sum it up, let's say in 3 words: amazing wildlife encounters. Without a doubt, you are going to be enchanted. I mean, to have be stepping over iguanas to get to a certain bird that you want to see, to be looking off over a vista of this beautiful lagoon that's chock full of pink flamingos, to be walking along a beach with crabs, these Sally Lightfoot crabs that are beautiful in color, scattering in every direction, shooting off into the water, to be flying off the back of the boat just to plunge into the waters quickly to cool off, climb back on, motor off to another place, and head off on another trek to see some more type of wildlife. But none of the wildlife there has any natural fear of humans. So, I mean, there are park rules. You don't want to go up and touch anything, but you could, and it would not be bothered, it would not be scared. Certainly you want to keep your distance just to make sure that animals' behavior remains natural, but it's just like something right out of the movies or TV. You can't beat that or find that almost anywhere else in the world. Well, our tagline is that Want Expeditions is a conservation-oriented travel company connecting travelers, adventurers, and photographers and conservationists, from all over the world to see the most amazing wildlife phenomena that exist on our planet. And while that sounds really great and grand, one of the things that we feel really, really important about is that you can't go to these areas, let alone ever expect to go back to these areas, if you don't make a conscientious effort to also protect them and preserve them and keep them as they are. But this is going across culture, nature, and wildlife. So we don't just necessarily focus on one thing. All these things are connected, and you can't work on one without focusing on the other. So it's really important. We're always keeping that in mind. When people think of Want Expeditions, I want them to think of the best experience, the most authentic experience that they could ever imagine, that keeps up with all of their expectations that they've ever imagined, dreamed, or seen on television. Come with me and I will show you that in real life.